Hello, hello, hello. I'm Eddie Obeng, and welcome to How. Another way to get stuff done. How is about making sure you're much more effective in this fast changing new world of ours. So, I have one for you, which is going to hopefully help you see through the complexity of change, especially around projects. Let's jump onto Cube, and I'm going to share with you the Project Space Cube. So, welcome to Cube. Sun's always shining. As you can see, there's a bit of blue sky up here. There always is. Okay, so let's start by understanding what the problem is. All around the world, for years, there have been people looking at projects, and there are thousands of articles and books on projects and project success, and they all suggest different things. And if you were to list all the things they suggest, it would be a tremendously long list running from here to the moon, concentrate on customers, make sure it's accessible, work out your cost estimates. There's just such a long list. And the question is, are all of those things relevant to all projects? And the answer is no. And the reason that it's not obvious that only a few things are relevant to each project is because they're hidden away. Reality, as always, is very hard to see. So I want to try and explain to you what the Space Cube is, because it's my way of trying to see through the mess of all of it to try to see whether there are simpler patterns we can work with. So let's jump our way in here. So I've got here a number of different things which demonstrate how hard it is to see reality. This is a magic eye picture. If you stare at it with your eyes all crooked, eventually you will see something emerge. The one we have in our office has the invisible man, which I think is extra funny because you stare at an image and then you see the invisible man, which is funny. That was funny to me anyway. This is another one where they've got, can you find the objects in the picture? And they've all these objects over here and you've got to look for them. And when you're a kid, it's quite hard to find the things. And that's part of the headache, that seeing the stuff which is in front of you is quite difficult. And then sometimes they're just optical illusions, like this one here. How does this work? Your brain starts to fall apart very quickly because you can't work out how it all fits together. So seeing what projects are actually like is quite difficult. What's the next piece? What's the piece which connects to the one which you got earlier? Is there a formula? Is there a method, a mechanism? And then you'd have seen these kinetic statues where when you stand in front of it or to the side, it looks like this. And as you walk around, it becomes just a random pattern. And then you'd have seen things like these ones as well, where there's a young lady here, there's a swan over here, no, that's somebody's nose. Her hair is somebody's nose. No, it's not. Yes, it is. And if you step further back, all of a sudden you can see the two faces in there. But when you're close in, you can't. And this is the challenge we're trying to deal with. So the Project Space Cube is basically a way of trying to make sure that we can see projects for what they are. And if I was to describe them, I try to say most of these things, they're sort of like physics. So one thing which happens whenever you try and make an action, you always get an equal and opposite reaction. That's something in physics, isn't there? So there's something in projects about who wants the project to happen and who wants to stop the project happening. So that's one thing. Then there's other things in physics like the double slit experiment, which basically says you can either look at it and see it, or if you see it, it's in a different place. I've bastardized the whole process. But some projects are visible. You can see how they're going, and you can track them, and you can see what's going and coming next. And other projects are invisible. You can't work out where they're going. And if you try and figure out where they're going, they're going somewhere else. So their projects are visible or invisible. So those are all physics things. And then the third bit of physics is about the state, water, liquid, gas. What's the state of this thing? And that's achieved by looking at the amount to which the energy in the material allows it to stay together or be pushed apart. And the way I see it is, if you understand what you're trying to do or how you're trying to do it, if you understand all of that, then everything condenses and makes it really solid. I call that paint by numbers. And if you really don't understand what you're doing or how you're trying to do it, then it all explodes, and I call that fog. And then in between, I call them quests and movies. And you would have come across this model, I'm sure, but this is the model which I try and teach. Now, when you're looking at reality, I told you everything is like physics. All of nature is all numbers. Everything's connected. So I've tried to look at projects to try to make them consistent. So instead of talking about IT projects or HR projects or construction projects, I've gone, what's the nature? What's the physical nature of these projects? So there are projects which are by type, the what and the how. So you'd have come across these from the ones which are extremely sort of paint by numbers, over here to the foggy ones, quests, clear goal, no method, movie. Okay, that's one face of the thing. Then I describe the driver and deliverer. Who's pushing, who's pulling? Sometimes you're driving, you're delivering, which case you end up with politics. Sometimes you're pushing someone else to do it, in which case it's a turnkey or contract. Sometimes you're both pushing and pulling, and that makes it a sort of joint venture. So all of these have different characteristics, because in a joint venture you've got to align. If someone else is doing the work for you, you have a contract, for example, and they have to do what they're supposed to do. And if the thing is visible, then it's easy to track. And if it's invisible, you have to rely on trust and culture and other metrics. So that's what the Space Cube is about. And when I'm working with it, I try to get people to think about their real life projects. So the question is, what have you got in front of you? And you could do this with me now. Is it a Fog Quest movie paid by numbers? So at the moment, I'm on a sort of a quest to try and get somebody to make major investments in Cube. Okay, it's all very invisible, can't see where it's going, and it's a major investment. It's going to be sort of like a joint venture-ish thing, because we're going to have to pull it off together. Okay, so then the question is, what issues do I anticipate will arise early? One, explaining it. How am I going to tell people what it is, what they're getting into? So for that, I wrote a book called Unlimited, so that they could see and understand what Cube is about. Great. Okay. What's the middle bit going to be? Finding the people who are interested. Okay. So we've been searching the internet for people who might be new world enough to know what's going to happen. Late, where are we going to end up? They're going to get cold feet, and we're going to have to think about contracts and how to get people to do stuff. So that's what I anticipate is going to happen. What can I do to preliminate this? This for them? I can leak the book out slowly so that they understand. And so all I'm doing here is I'm taking what I know is the situation, I'm preliminating all the things, and I'm anticipating so I can get past all the issues. And that's what the ProjectSpaceCube is. It tells you exactly what's going to happen with your particular type of change. And as long as you understand it, you can actually work it through and work closer towards a perfect project. So subscribe if you haven't done, to the newsletter, to Spotify, to YouTube. I'll see you again. I've been Eddie Obeng.